Hi everyone, welcome back. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about integer data types in Apex. An integer data type can store a 32-bit number with no decimal point. Now the question is, what do we mean by 32-bit here? Computer stores data in a binary format. Binary means in the form of zeros and ones. Everything, whether it's a number or an English text like this one, it is stored in the form of zeros and ones. We call these zeros and ones as bits. Therefore, in terms of computer science, we can say that a 32-bit integer means an integer value which could be stored in a computer using 32 bits. It includes all the permutations of 32 zeros and ones stored together. This means that if I'm storing an integer, it will be stored using all the permutations of 32 bits, which can be either zeros and ones stored together in a memory location inside a computer. So this count will be 32. It's fine if you're not much clear about this for now. Just remember that an integer is stored in a memory using 32 zeros and ones. We will learn more about bits in a separate tutorial. Now, using these permutations of zeros and ones, an integer can store a value between -2147 483 647 till 2147 483 647. So we can say that this is the maximum value that can be stored in an integer, and this is the minimum value that can be stored in an integer variable. An example of variable having integer data type is as follows: integer, sum, and then a semicolon. All variable declarations use the same format. Like we discussed in the boolean data type tutorial, this format is also the same, which is as follows. We have the data type, and then a space, and then variable name, and then a semicolon. Here, integer is the data type, then we have the space, then the variable name, which is sum, and then a semicolon. In this example, it signifies that we have a variable which has a name sum. It is of type integer and can store value between -2147 483 647 till 2147 483 647. Now let's take a look at the code snippet which we have written, and let's see how it works. So we have a variable sum. Its value is null initially. Then we assigned a value 1. Then we assigned a value 10. And then again we are printing it. So all this we covered in the boolean data type tutorial, which is why I'm not covering it again. Then we assigned it the maximum value which is possible to be stored in an integer, which is 2147 483 647. And then we also assigned it a minimum value which is possible to be stored in an integer variable. Let's execute this whole code and let's see how it works. If you see here, value of some integer variable is null. So initially, the sum integer variable, which is this one, had a value null, which is fine. Then we assigned it a value 1, which is integer 1. So now the value of some integer variable is 1. Then we assigned it a value 10. So it is coming as 10. Then we assigned it a maximum value, which is 2147 483 647. So it is coming as 2147 483 647. Then we assigned it a minimum value, which is -2147 483 647. So it is coming as the minimum value. One question which may come into our mind is, what will happen if we assign a bigger value than this particular value? So let's do that. What we can do, we can just increase it to 8. And now I'm going to execute this whole code from here till here. So now if you see, I'm getting an error, line 10, column 7. So if you see right here, line 1, line 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then column 7. So column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Therefore, at this point, we are getting an error, and the error is illegal integer. So this means that this value is not a valid integer to be assigned to an integer variable. So we can assign the maximum value till 47. Similarly, we can try it for this negative value as well. Let's say I make it as 8 and I save it. Let's execute this whole code. So this time it is coming at line 13, column 8, which is again the same thing right here. And it is saying illegal integer. So this means that this value is also not valid to be assigned to an integer variable. Therefore, we can only assign values within the range to our integer variable. Let's consider another case. What will happen if we try to assign a boolean value, let's say false, to our integer variable? But before that, let me fix this as well. Now I'm going to execute the whole code up till here. If you see, I'm getting an error which is saying illegal assignment from boolean to integer. That means we are trying to assign a boolean value to an integer variable, which is not allowed. So we are getting illegal assignment from boolean to integer. So this is not allowed. That's all for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll learn about decimal data type in detail.